Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to show you some of the materials that I will be using today. For today, all I need is a pencil, a bleed-proof pen. I'm using a Sakura Micron PN plastic nib, and it is an 05 tip. I also have a kneaded eraser and a piece of Canson watercolor paper that is 5 by 7. Okay, you can't really see the whole thing on the screen here, but it is a 5 by 7. So if you love your work at the end, you can frame it. All right, so really all you need is these pieces right here for this first video. And I'm going to walk you through drawing a little pot and then adding the flowers to it. Video number 2 will be on Audrey Shantz art, and I will link it below. And for her video, you're going to need a paintbrush, which I forgot to put in the photo, a paintbrush, some water, ooh, there we go. Some watercolor paints. This is what Audrey uses. This is what I typically use as well. The Mylang, is that how you?
Yep.
Mylang. And I'll have this linked below, and it will also be linked in Audrey's video as well. It is the go-to set that she and I always use. Okay, but also I have my little May Florals palette, which just has the 6 colors. And if you did the May Florals, you've already been playing with these, you know how to use them. So you can use anything that you have, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I've got my little mixing palette too for mixing the colors. Okay, is that everything I needed to say, Audrey?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm feeling good.
I'm gonna grab a piece of scrap paper so I can write down the name of the tangles that we are using. I am not going to spend time showing you or teaching you how to make the tangles on scrap paper, because hopefully you watched my May Florals series, which I'll also link below, and you've learned how to make these already. Okay, but I'm going to list them and show you what they are. Okay, things are rolling and moving. All right, here is one of the tangles. It is called Hannery by Hiroko Matsuo. Probably saying that wrong, a CZT. Okay, so that's one of them. We're also doing Flux Echo by Lynn Mead, CZT. And the last one, what is my last one? Hold on. Okay, it is Joyful by Melinda Barlow, CZT. All right, those are the 3 floral tangles we will be using. Okay, I'm going to put my pen aside and grab my pencil and my eraser for this part. Okay, we're going to, zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole piece of paper and also the cute little clipboard I'm working on. All right, so to make the flower pot, Audrey, do you have a suggestion for how high it should go? Should it go halfway?
That's a good idea. Let's think. Yeah, I would say halfway is good.
Okay, so just kind of guess at where your halfway point is, and let's just put a little top line in there. And let's go to the bottom, and I would say about a pencil width up. Let's put our bottom line. All right, good start. Now what? All right, so we're going to actually draw a cute little plate down below, and then the pot is going to be sitting in the plate. So I'm going to take this line down here, and I'm going to extend it out both ways until we have about 2 finger widths on both sides. And you can draw pretty light with your pencil. We will go over it with pen afterwards. So, okay, and then I'm going to go up just a tiny bit of an angle on each side, about 1 finger width up. It doesn't have to be very tall. And then we're going to put these little bumps in. So I like to start with kind of these half bumps on the sides. And then I'm going to try to fit 3 in the middle. 1, 2, 3. And if you don't love it or your sizes aren't what you want, it's in pencil, so you can go back and change it. Every time we erase, like, the camera wiggles. Okay, we just took a moment to put the camera on a separate table so it doesn't wiggle every time we erase. All right, so we have our cute little plate. I just love that. And now we need to draw the pot. So I'm actually gonna start with the top of the pot. So I've got this little line up here for the very top. I'm just gonna let it go out kind of long for a moment. And then I'm gonna go down about a finger width, maybe a little bit more for that other part of the pot. You know, it has, those clay pots have kind of that rim up there. And I don't yet know how long I want those, so I'm just gonna leave those open. And I'm gonna draw the sides of the pot. They do not come straight down, they come at a slight angle. So what I'm gonna do is take my fingers, I'm gonna go in about 2 finger widths and make a little dash, and 2 fingers on this side and make a little dash. And I'm gonna bring that just at a slight angle down to that plate. That looks pretty good. If you wanna make yours wider or taller or shorter, this is your flower pot, do what you want. Now that I have that in, I only want this edge to go over a little bit, and then it's gonna go straight up to that line and straight up to this line. And you can erase or make your lines longer, whatever you need to do. All right, how's it going over there?
Good.
All right, let me show you hers. Just because it's so cute. She's such a good sketcher. Sketcher, is that the right word? Like, look at how she rounded the edges. It's so pretty. Okay, I love it. Crooked is okay. All right, so now we need to put in our flowers. All right, how are you liking your flower pot? Hopefully you love it. All right, I'm still doing mine pretty lightly with my pencil because now we need to add a bunch of spots for the flowers and we need to be able to erase some things, okay? So one of my flowers, I want to go right over the edge here and basically use this edge as the halfway point of your flower. So I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm just gonna circle in where I want a flower. Can you see how big that is? It's almost 2 finger widths. All right, and then let's erase that middle part just to get it out of the way. And let's go ahead and just draw Hannery in there, okay? Are we ready for that, Audrey?
I'm so ready.
Okay, so we're gonna start with a circle in the middle, about the width of the end of my pencil. And this outside circle is just the guidelines for where we want our petals to land. And I like to try to fit about 5. So to do that, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to hover. Does that make sense? I'm not going to touch the circle. I'm going to go up above a little bit and I'm going to give this nice big petal curve and come back but not touch the circle. And then I'm going to do it again right next to it. So touching that first one, I'm going to go out and do a big curve and come back in. But I'm not touching the circle. I don't know if you can see that very well with this lighting and with my light pencil. And then I'm going to do a third one and a fourth one and a 5th. And mine turned out lopsided in different sizes, and that is okay. I hear Audrey using her eraser. You have permission to erase and change as needed.
Also, I have to tell you guys that I did this as a practice without Kelly teaching me, and I did this incredibly differently. So it's so fun
And it
to
still
see.
turned out amazing.
Yeah, but I love how she teaches it.
Okay, at the bottom of each of these petals, hovering around this first circle, we're gonna give these little curves right above the circle at the bottom of the petal. It's just kind of a little aura. I'm going to do that on all of them, and they don't touch in the center. So we go like this and like this, like this and this. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
That and that. And then in this little opening, we're going to go straight up, and add a circle. This should be fun to watercolor because we have different unique little spaces to play in. So you make that little line, and the circle on top. And you can play around with the thickness of those lines or how big your circle is going to be. That's Hannery. We did it. And we don't even need a stem for this one because it's just kind of peeking out of the flower pot. Okay, that was number 1. Now let's do one up here, kind of above it and to the right. And I'm gonna make a circle right about there, and it is a full 2 fingers. So nice and big, taking up that corner area. And this is going to be Joyful by Melinda Barlow. So Joyful starts with a circle in the middle that I'm just going to color in. And then we make a straight line down.
They might not want to color it in for watercolor though.
True, you might not want to color it in for watercolor, she said.
Well, just user's
I didn't even
choice.
think about that. Okay, I'm going to erase that and just put an open circle so we can fill it in with color. And then we're going to put a horizontal line. And then we're going to do these diagonal lines. So you should have 8 petals. And once you get those made, we're going to put a bump on the top of each one. Some of them are going to be a little bit wider than others because of how your lines landed, and that's okay. And then inside those, we're going to do some randomly short and long lines. And it doesn't have to be short, long, like in a pattern. You can change it up. Maybe some only have 1 line. Do what you want. How is yours looking? How are you feeling so far about this? It's so different than typical Zentangle where we have a little square and we just fill it. This one we're trying to place individual little doodles, so it's a little bit tougher. I'm going to go back down to Hannery and I'm going to put in a tethered aura. So the tethered aura is when we touch down and then we bump out for an aura and then touch back down. Just feel like this needs to be a little bit bigger and maybe have another spot to add some color. And mine bumps into that flower. I'm just going to let it go behind. That feels a little bit bigger and more solid to me. All right, we have 2 of our florals in. We've got a few more to make. Okay, I want to do another Hannery up here. Then I want to do a Flux Echo. And maybe I'll put Flux Echo in the middle. I can't decide.
Which one's the Flux Echo?
Okay, we've made some decisions. I have to consult Audrey for like how to place things. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the Flux Echo. and that's going to be almost in the center of this whole thing. And so she suggested like a pencil width away and a pencil width away from this. And so I think I'm going to make it right about here. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be a little bit smaller than the two we just made. I think that's gonna work. And how about we draw in our other flowers, like the circles, just to kind of get that placed. So we're gonna have one over here, and it's gonna go past the edge of the pot, and I want it a little bit higher actually. Right about there, and then we're gonna put one up here. So just the circles are just giving us a basic layout. Okay, and then we're gonna try to sneak one down here as well, and it's gonna go on that, like that can be the halfway divider, that little edge there. Okay, I think we're good. All right, let's do some Flux Echo right here. So for Flux Echo, we start with, at the very bottom of that circle, we put in a nice big oval. And it's kind of the width and size of the end of my pencil. And then we're going to do a flux shape, but it's going to start a little bit wide at the top. So I'm making two little notches. And then we're going to go up and out. It's almost like when you're blowing up a balloon, it starts really narrow and gets nice and wide and round.
Yours is cute. Erasing.
And then we're going to echo off of that. So I'm just going to come down a little bit down the side, bump up, out, and back into that little spot where we started. Out, in, and back to that little spot. That's what makes this one kind of unique, I think, is that it's really large out here, but they come back to that same little point. And I'm going to do another little one down here, and it's going to tuck back in up into there. Same thing on this side, echo out and curve in, out and curve in, and one more. I'm going kind of quickly on these because hopefully you've already made them in the other videos. All right, and these are going to have some flicks, which I'm just going to put in with my pencil. I'll go over them with pen later, but I don't want to forget. Okay. How are we doing over there, Audrey?
Good.
Good.
Yours
She's
are...
giggling, using her eraser. Hers looks amazing. Just amazing. I love it. Okay, so let's go up here to this top one. And up there, we're going to do another Hannery, which was kind of the more complicated of our florals today, but I really like the ways that we're going to be able to watercolor it. So it's kind of a fun one. So it might be a little bit smaller than this one because of just kind of the lack of room up there, but I'm going to start with a circle in the middle-ish. And then we do those petals that hover. So we come off of the circle a little bit, we bump up and around and out. And it doesn't need to be like the flux that we just did where we kind of curve in. These can just be rounded. And I'm going to try to do 5. And then I'm going to change one of them to be taller because it ended up really small. That's why it's good to use erasers and pencil. Okay, so I'm thinking for this one, maybe we won't do the more complicated inside. We'll still do Hannery, we'll just change it up a little bit. So let's do, these kind of hovered, let's go around and add this little aura around that first circle so the petals are touching it. And then let's just come out with a line and a circle so it kind of matches what we did over here in Joyful. So it's a little bit different, but will also not take as much time maybe. And I still love the tethered aura. So I'm going to do the tethered aura all the way around. That means we tuck in down here, we jump up, and then tuck back in. You could also do a regular aura if you wanted, where you don't touch down at all. That would be pretty. Okay, I'll give you a moment to do that. How's it going over there?
Good.
That looks so pretty. Yours are so nice and big. I'm gonna show yours.
Yours are big too. It is fun to look how similar and different.
It sounded like, you know, when you're like in elementary and you're like, you're dumb, and you're like, you're dumb. I was like, yours are big. You're like, yours are big too.
Yours are big too. You're really cool.
Like, look at how like nice and wide, and it really takes up space there. I love that.
I think that way because within watercolor, it's nice to have bigger spaces to work within. Like,
Yes.
tiny spaces are harder, bigger spaces are kind of easier. So,
That makes sense.
but they're so similar.
They are similar, but
Yeah.
mine is much smaller. Okay, you can have yours back. All right, let's do the last two flowers. So over here, we're gonna put another Joyful. So I'm gonna zoom in on that. Joyful is like the one over here, and I don't really want them to be side by side. I want this one to be maybe down a little bit. So play around with the position of it if you want. And that one has the circle in the middle. I feel like I want to make this bigger. I'm going to make mine bigger. Because you're right, for watercolor that is easier. Okay, do your vertical line, your horizontal line, and your diagonal lines. It's almost lunchtime and my stomach is starting to growl, and now like this looks like a pizza to me, or maybe like an orange, and it's just making me hungry.
My stomach is growling too.
And we still have like the entire watercolor portion to record.
Oh no.
Oh, by the end of it, we're gonna be like hangry and silly. And okay, once you get those lines in, give those little bump outs as tall as you want them. And then for the centers, if you want to change it up, you could do just a flick, or you could just do like one line with the little circles, or you could do both lines again. It's up to you. I think I'm just going to do flicks in this one just to keep it simple. Maybe flicks with little dots at the end.
Cute.
Great. Okay, our last one is going to be a little flux echo down here. So cute. I'm excited to place that. I'm going to erase that part of the pot that we can see. And I'm going to put in that oval bottom, resting right at the bottom of the circle that you made. Add the two little notches, and we're going to go up and out like you're blowing up a balloon. And I forgot to mention, mine is a little bit tilted on purpose so that my stem can kind of come out the side. I'm going to erase mine and do that better.
I'm going to erase mine.
I don't want my stem to go straight up and down. I want it, maybe I'll kind of just pencil in the stem. So I want it to go like this.
Mm-hmm. That was a good idea.
And then my oval should actually be right here.
Smart thinking.
Well, and a lot of these don't really matter because the stem can come anywhere, but this one needs to be a little more specific. Okay, put in those little notches and do your flex echo. Mine is going at an angle now on purpose. And we echo out the side and come into that same first notch. And again, and again. Go out the side and in. All right. Oh, and yours even. Okay, I'm going to show hers. Now, I wish I had done that. Look at how hers goes up and crosses over that top part of the pot as well. That is really cute. I guess I did that on my sample one, and then when I taught you guys, I didn't.
But really, they're both really cute.
They're both super cute. Yeah. But if you want to make yours larger, I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, mine feels really small now. I think I'm going to add an aura to it. I'm like jealous of how cute hers looks. So I'm going to add an aura.
Oh.
It's still not going to go over. It's not big enough, but it does make it a little bit larger. Okay.
That's interesting because then that'll be a different option for painting too. So ours will be different, but that'll be good.
Oh, you're right.
I like it.
You're right.
Cutie.
Okay. Now I feel like I should hand this to you and you can put in our stems and leaves for us. I think I'm going to do that. Do you guys want to see Audrey draw? She's so good. Okay. I'm going to put my pencil down and we're going to switch roles.
So she's hilarious because I guess I'm doing this.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit so you can see the whole thing for a second. And I just like to think ahead about like, just look at it first before you decide these things. Like, let me see, like this one, do you want it to come between these and see the whole thing? Or do you want to just tuck it behind? And I think this is honestly what's cool is this whole flower is symmetrical, so you could do it either way would be great. Like there's no base to worry about. So let's see. Let's start with this one in the center. I think it's easy. You can go straight, but I like to give them a curve usually. So just like a slight curve down. And I just took one line somewhere around the center of that base. Slight little curve, and then we'll just try to do another line next to it, which I think is an aura, right? Mm-hmm. And then look for even width the whole way down, okay? And then usually I like to just find the problem ones. This doesn't need anything. This one, I think you have choice. This one, you could go either direction. So since we're all gonna have these in slightly different spaces anyways, I want you to look for what you like and press really lightly. So if you don't like it, you'll just move it. Let's see though. I think I'm gonna go with this kind of a curve. So out to the left a little bit, and I'll put it right between these petals. I didn't know I would be placing these, you guys.
You're doing great.
And I'm just gonna go for the same width for everything, but that's up to you. Like if you want some to have different size, I mean, they're all different flowers. So this one, I'm gonna go the other way. So curving like out to the right. And I like to see a good amount of it. Like if I put it here, you would barely see it. So I pulled it over here. And what do you think for this one? What do you think for this one? You think over here?
Mine are touching, so I have the tiniest little spot.
Okay, cute. I'm going to do it over here because that's where Kelly's is. I'll show you hers. You want to stick yours under the thing? So she has a little spot, and I love where she placed it right there. Little baby. Oh, I should zoom in for you guys. Whoa. What is that? I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and doesn't need it. So are we coming back to you for leaves?
I think you should do a few leaves for us. You're really good at placing that. Or we can do those little spirally things, like maybe a couple leaves and a couple little spirals.
Yeah, let's do both. Let's do some leaves and some spirals. So those are like our two options. And usually I just like to look for what space do I want to fill in. And we didn't really leave a lot, actually. We could have moved this over and had more space this way. Let me see what happens. You guys, don't do this with me yet.
Okay.
What about that? What about a long stem? Because I couldn't fit it otherwise. Okay, so I took right from here, curved up and away. Okay, and then I'll match it right here, and then I just ended it. This is like a smiley face or this is a sad face here and a smiley face here, right? And I'm trying to like channel Kelly because all of her shapes are so lovely and rounded. So I like that. It's a little bit unconventional, but I like it that way. And then we don't have that much space. What about if we come right here? I see space for one.
That'd be cute.
Okay, and then I think let's try to fit three to four leaves total, and that's it. So I think here would be adorable.
Yes.
So this one you can either do a stem first or just go right into that nice rounded out leaf shape. I'm just gonna come right from the stem. And you know, what if we put it right here, which means I'll just erase some of that stem. So you look at yours and see where you have space. We're using leaves as space fillers, okay? I'm coming right over that, which means that I will take Kelly's eraser here and just erase that stem because the leaf would be in front of it. So now I've got 1, 2, 3. Let's put this one in, and then can I give it back to you for
Yes.
the curlies? Okay, I'm gonna let her do the curly cues.
Okay.
So here I'm just gonna take right up and away, and I feel like that's some pretty good balance. You know what I might do on this one? I want to point this out. Okay, I'm gonna make this smaller for the main reason that my leaf does not touch my flower. Okay, so they don't all have to be the same size, but what I do by doing this is that when I paint this flower, I don't have to dry it before painting this leaf.
Good.
So I brought it in, it's tinier. And now everyone, back to Kelly.
Do a watercolor flower
Okay.
on the spot.
No way. All right, we are back. All right, so mine looks very similar to hers. The only thing I did different was this one here. My orientation of my flowers here is a little bit different. So I just tucked mine. It's kind of coming right out of the pot.
Cute.
But otherwise, I think that's pretty good. If you still have more space and you want to do something, you could extend this out and do another leaf. There's so many options. Let's not do the curly cues yet. Let's start tracing because that's going to take us a few minutes, okay? I trace rather quickly, so if you need to pause the video to catch up, that's okay. But we're just going to start tracing. And when I trace, I don't go exactly on the lines. I tend to sort of, if this one is too short, I might, extend it a little bit. My bump outs, I just sort of do, right? So it doesn't have to be exact.
Can you talk about water safe though, since we're going to paint watercolor?
Yes, yep. I mentioned that before in the beginning, I think.
I know, but I feel like
I'm
yes, afraid. I
Make
worry.
sure you have one that is bleed proof, waterproof.
I just worry because if you don't, you're going to be so bummed out later on when you put watercolors
Yeah,
over
and
the
everything
top.
starts to bleed.
We love you, is what we're saying.
Exactly. Okay, so let's just start tracing. I'm going to trace my Hannery first because it's the first one that I made. And I like to do it in the order that I taught you. So I start with that circle, and then I do each petal. Typically in Zentangle, you do not start in pencil, so it kind of changes things up a little bit today. Then I'm going to do all these little curved auras. And put in those little stem things coming up the center with the circles. So when I take watercolor classes from Audrey, she does not ink first. So everything is a pencil sketch, and then you add all of your colors, and then at the end you can go back and add ink. So that's kind of a fun way to do it too, but it'd be hard to draw these Zentangle flowers over blotches of paint. Okay, I'm gonna go up here and do joyful, do my little circle. My lines coming up and down and diagonal. And the bumps. Oh, I forgot to do my tethered auras on Hannery. I need to go back and do that.
On which one?
On this one. I just forgot to do that little outside aura. Put in my stem. And that little leaf. Going to my Flux Echo. Ink always feels like such a commitment, but as Audrey always says, it's just paper.
Mm-hmm.
You can start over, you can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about the Zentangle florals is that nobody is looking at your florals saying, that doesn't really look like a pansy or doesn't look like a tulip, because they're fake flowers anyway. So I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Audrey does more realistic. In fact, I should mention, can I mention what you have
Yeah.
coming up?
Yeah, you can.
So I believe in June, is it in June?
Yeah.
She's going to do a floral series with watercolor, and she's showing me some of her like prep work for it. It is absolutely amazing, and it's not these like doodle flowers. It's more realistic, but also very doable. I don't think it's like expert level for us trying to learn. I think it's doable, but they're so beautiful. And she's even going to have a little printout in case you don't want to draw them all. And anyway, it's amazing. I can't talk and trace at the same time. All right, keep going.
I can't get over how cute it is when you do the ink. It just like pops, you know?
It does. So if you don't already follow Audrey Shantz art on YouTube, and she's got a website, so many great things. So she makes beautiful art that you can purchase for your house or your office. Absolutely gorgeous.
Or
and
a
then
gift.
or a gift. And then also she teaches on YouTube, and she has the most incredible series different series of she just did porch geese, which is the cutest thing ever. She did succulents in pots. It's just
Planter
amazing.
buddies.
Planter buddies, that's what it was. So cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on vacation in Cape Cod for spring break, and the girl I was with was like, let's do some watercolor. So I was able to just pull up one of Audrey's videos, and it was like a half-hour, 45-minute video, and we both made the cutest little planter buddies.
I love
So
that.
accessible. All right, don't forget to ink in your stems. All of your little flicks or details you're putting in your flowers. And your leaves if you made leaves.
Every time I do this with you, I realize it's like, this is why it's called Zentangle, because it's just so chill.
It is, right? Unless you're panicking about where to place things and how to make them look just right. But if you
Which we would never
are okay
do.
with that,
Yeah.
then it is very zen.
Takes a deep breath.
Exactly. All right, I'm going down to the bottom of my pot. I love this little plate. This was from a sticker that I bought, and it had this cute little plate on the pot, and I just love it. So we are talking, Audrey and I, about this summer taking walks around our cute little town and just having like conversations, asking each other questions, and just recording kind of our answers or the silliness of it or the seriousness of it.
Mm-hmm.
But just a way to get us out of the house, have fun conversations, and film it for all of you. So if you think that's something you're interested in watching, let us know, or if you have a question that you'd like us to ask each other.
Yeah, I'm already wondering what we're going to talk about. I think we'll talk about food for sure.
Talk about food for sure. Absolutely. All right, did you add any little details to your leaves? I'm going to add like a little flick and a dot in mine.
Okay.
You don't have to, but it just makes them look more doodled, more Zentangled, I think.
Mm-hmm.
After you get it all outlined, then you're going to let it dry for a second and then take your eraser and start erasing the pencil lines. I just realized I forgot the details in here.
Do you want to do the squiggles now or no?
Probably, yes.
Are they called squiggles? What are they called?
I don't know what they're called. We're going to call them squiggles.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a little embellishment to give it kind of a whimsical feel, fill in some space. And they don't have to be watercolored, which is nice. What was the last collab that we did? Do you remember?
I think acorns.
Oh, in the fall. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add flicks in my Flux
I
Echo.
think flowers is our jam, though.
I think so, too.
It's like my favorite.
Last year was so fun. That was our first collab that we did. It was so fun. I just love saying collab. Like, it sounds like we're cool YouTubers or something.
We're YouTubers.
I was pulling out the driveway this morning. My son says, "Where you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just off to do a YouTube collab." And I think he gave me a look of like admiration. Maybe not, but I don't know. I'd like to think that he thought that was cool.
My favorite is like, we're YouTubers.
I know.
That is so funny. I feel like with middle schoolers, we would be so cool.
So I was telling my students, my 6-year-old students I work with, that I'm a YouTuber. And so they wanted to see one of my videos. So I showed them just like a snippet of me teaching drawing. And they're like, "Where's your face?" I was like, "I don't show my face." They're like, "You're not a real YouTuber." Yeah.
Well, today's their day.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
That is so funny. Wow.
This is the kind of stuff we're going to talk about on our walks.
How exciting.
All right, get all of that erased, and you can just go over it very quickly. The pencil lines are fine if they stay, but the watercolor, when you put watercolor over pencil, the pencil does show through. So take off as much as you don't want to show. Oh, I just realized I didn't ink in these details. Okay.
This is cute.
It is.
We didn't know exactly where we were going with this, and I really
not.
I like where it ended.
It was like 2 days ago. She was like, "Do you have a plan?" And I was like, maybe.
It's fun to figure it out, though.
We talk about it so much, but then when it comes down to it, we're kind of like, what are we doing? Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see the whole thing. And then we can sign it probably at the end, right after we paint.
Okay.
So here is Audrey's, here is mine. So look how similar, but also different, just different styles, different spacing, and I love both of them so much. All right, so that is the end of video 1. We are doing no shading today because all of our shading will be done with color, kind of, right? We're gonna add like some dark and light and things, so we're not doing pencil shading today.
Yeah.
So after this, go to Audrey Shantz Art on YouTube, right? I will link it below. I will also try to link it in the upper corner of this video if I can figure out how to do that.
You're so fancy.
I'm gonna try. And then go there for video number 2 where we add our watercolors. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. We'll talk about supplies when we get to it. I will see you there.
Yay, thanks. Bye-bye.